Hello, hello, happy campers. We're going to learn today about karyotypes, and this is going to help us with the third test in Santi's lab. So a karyotype is a diagram. It's going to show us chromosomes that somebody might have. You have half of your chromosomes from your mom and half of your chromosomes from your dad. They come in sets or pairs, very similar to shoes. You have a right shoe and a left shoe, so one from mom and one from dad in this case, and those pairs then form your karyotype. So there are 23 pairs of chromosomes, so that means there are 46 individual chromosomes in total. So you have 22 pairs, the first 22 pairs, which are known as autosomal chromosomes. That's these guys right here. These guys right here are autosomal chromosomes. They're going to code for things that are like eye color, hair color, your if you can roll your tongue, all those fun things. The last pair are known as sex chromosomes. These guys right here in the 23rd spot. The sex chromosomes are going to tell us the sex of the individual. There is also a gene that we can see if it's present, the SRY gene. It's located on the Y chromosome, SRY gene. It's a small portion of a long piece of DNA in that chromosome. So again, genes are a segment of DNA that code for something specific. In this case, this particular gene codes for the production of male anatomy. So if it's present, that gene gets read and will make male anatomy for that particular person. If it is not present, female anatomy will be created by default. The Y chromosome is much smaller than the X chromosome. If we take a look at the picture right here. So here's the X chromosome, here's the Y chromosome. There are a lot more genes that make up the X chromosome. You can survive with just an X chromosome. It's got enough genetic information. So it has to have a bigger size because it carries a lot more genetic information. Okay, here's the Y chromosome, and again, the SRY is just one portion of that Y chromosome, so it's super tiny. Here's what we're going to take a look at. We are going to double click on the drawing here in a second, and we are going to try to identify the sex of the individual. It says what sex chromosomes does the individual have and what is likely their sex based on this. Where is the SRY gene found, and is it likely that this person has the SRY gene? So let's double click. So if we take a look, we've already identified the sex chromosomes. I don't know if you can see them clearly, but excuse me, one is bigger than the other. So this person has an X chromosome and a Y chromosome because males are X and Y and females are X and X. So if we were to identify this individual, it would have an X and Y chromosome, which is typically characteristic of a male. So we want to represent that right here in the gel. This person would have one X chromosome, okay, which is bigger than the Y, so we know it's not going to travel as far from the well. They have a Y chromosome, which we know is smaller, so it's going to be able to travel further away than the X. And because they have a Y chromosome and they're male, they're probably going to have male reproductive organs. So they definitely have an SRY gene present because that's found on the Y chromosome. Now, because the SRY gene is a portion of the Y chromosome, we know that it's got to be smaller than the Y chromosome. So it's going to travel even further through the gel. Because again, small things travel farther, big things don't travel as far. So we just represented what this individual would look like if we were to run their DNA through a gel. Okay, it says your teacher will model how the gel would turn out. Make sure to copy this on your gel. So we know this individual has an X and Y chromosome. And they are more than likely going to be male. Okay, where's the SRY gene found? Is on the Y chromosome. And this person would have the SRY gene because they have the Y chromosome. Okay? So we're going to try this again. It says circle the sex chromosome on the karyotype. What is the name of the other chromosomes in pairs 1 through 22? So pairs 1 through 22 are not called sex chromosomes. They are called autosomal chromosomes or autosomes. So let's take a look at this person. Their sex chromosomes are located right here in pair number 23. They are the same exact size, an exact copy. So this person is going to be what sex chromosome? They are going to be XX. Is this person likely going to have an SRY gene then? They should not have an SRY gene because they don't have a Y chromosome. So we would not expect them to have an SRY gene because, again, that gene is found only on the Y chromosome. Oops. Would have an SRY gene. What is the likely sex of this person? Well, if they have two X chromosomes, we would assume that they would be a female. And it says drag the appropriate bands of the DNA to where you would find them in the gel model. We're going to double click. First thing that we're going to do is we are going to drag the circle over to the sex chromosomes. And then we are going to change things up a bit. And we are going to look at the gel. Now this person doesn't have one, but they have two X chromosomes. So if we were to take two bands and put them there, they would have to travel the same distance. If you have two copies going to X, we know that it's got to be double the size or twice as thick. The more copies you have going to the same location, the thicker the band and the darker the band might be. Okay? Imagine if you had 3 or 4 X's here. It'd be even thicker. There is no Y chromosome present, so therefore there's no SRY gene present. So what we've done is we've looked at a normal male and we've looked at a normal female. These next couple of karyotypes are going to be abnormal situations. So we're going to take a look at the abnormal situations and we are going to go through those. This person has a syndrome. If you take a look at all the chromosomes, remember there should be 2 of each chromosome set, one from mom and one from dad. So we go through this karyotype looking at all the pictures. We have 2 chromosomes everywhere but right here. This person has Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome is representative of only one sex chromosome. So this person only has an X. They don't have a Y, they don't have a second X. So they are missing the second sex chromosome. Turner syndrome actually does exist. People that do have Turner syndrome will present as female because if you take a look, they do not have an SRY gene present. Because they have one X chromosome, they will have all of the chromosomes needed and necessary to do things, but they might not be able to bear children. There's a chance of that. And there's some other things that go along with this syndrome as well. So this karyotype is labeled as a chromosomal abnormality that causes what syndrome? If you take a look right here, it tells you that it's Turner syndrome. What is abnormal about this karyotype? Well, you just identified it. There's only what? There's only one sex chromosome. So we know that normal chromosomes, there should be 23 pairs or 46 total chromosomes. If you are missing one chromosome, then you are going to have 45. So what is the sex chromosome and what is this person's sex chromosome? They have an X, and that is it. If you want to know how it's written normally, it's XO, but we'll just leave it as a single X. What sex organs would you expect to develop? Again, if there's no SRY gene present, we know by default we are going to have female sex chromosomes or female organs. So in this case, we would have nothing for SRY, we would have nothing for Y, we would only have how many X's? 1. So we're going to take the band over, place it right here. Okay. So you're going to take a look at the next two, and you are going to try to complete those next two. You have this individual right here, and you have this individual right here. So you are going to take your time and you're going to complete the last two for your own grade.